ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. So welcome to our Saturday morning session, and we will continue our journey on the chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita. Today we will start from verse number 17 onwards. But before we start on the 17th, I would like to go back on 16th a little bit. Now, in the 16th, the four types of bhakt, four types of devotees have been specified. One is those who are working for some gain, like wealth or health or marriage of somebody or some sort of employment of somebody. A large number of people go to temples precisely because of this. They have certain desires to fulfill, and they want to go there to pray. And in fact, a lot of people ask them, what are your desires? In fact, this is how they go. And then they express their desire, and once those are fulfilled, they are happy. So that is called artharthi. Then the second variety is called arth. That is the variety which goes there to avoid some disaster, some problem, some hurdles. For example, there is a health issue, or there is some act of violence, or there is, for example, somebody is on deathbed, they don't want him to die. So basically it's a out of fear of death, fear of some sort of unwelcome development. So that is called arth. And then the third is basically jigyasu is those who are going just to find out what God is all about. Some people don't believe in God and they want to try and find out what the God is all about. So that is the third variety. And fourth variety is the variety which is the jnani, that person who has acquired good knowledge of spiritual issues, who understands this his own existence, and he is dedicated to the God. So in fact, some people say that the fourth variety is the real variety, which is can be called devotee of the Almighty. But it is not true. It is, in fact, Lord Krishna himself has said that all the four are my devotees. So let us accept that. And in fact, this will be clarified further down in verse number 18. So if we look at the world, we would find 95% people fall into the first three categories, maybe even more, 99%. 1% are the one who go without any desire, without any expectation, without any favor from the Almighty. So that is the last category, which is the most important, of course. Now let us go to verse number 17. उनमें नित्य मुझ में एक ही भाव से स्थित अनन्य प्रेम भक्ति वाला ज्ञानी भक्त अति उत्तम है, क्योंकि मुझको तत्व से जानने वाले ज्ञानी को मैं अत्यंत प्रिय हूं और वह ज्ञानी मुझे अत्यंत प्रिय है. Now this is, there are very nice words here. तेसाम ज्ञानी नित्य युक्त. Nitya yukt. Nitya yukt means all the time one with the Almighty. Nitya is, all the time, and yuk means one with the Almighty. Like, when we talk to our friends, we do not reveal everything which we think. There's no eki bhav. Eki bhav is the one which brings total unity between the two. For example, there are two good lovers. Now, those lovers do not hide anything from each other. They tell them the truth, what they are feeling about. That is called eki bhav. Similarly, eki bhav with the Almighty is possible because you can reveal everything to the God, but you do not want to reveal everything to your family members, to your friends, to your neighbors, to your office colleagues. We have this tendency to hide certain things from certain sections of the people. But eki bhav and nitya yukt means that you have nothing to hide. You are like an open book. People can just see everything what you are. And that is what Krishna is saying, that devotee who is nitya yukt and who is eki bhav, dono cheeजें, मतलब he is all the time dedicated to the Almighty and he is one with him. He is all feelings, emotions, uh, there's nothing he is hiding and he is revealing everything to me. Then it is, he is the real, devotee. He, that is the devotee whom I love, and that devotee loves me. Loves me means what? Once you become eki bhav, once you become nitya yukt, then there is no difference between the two. It becomes one, single, it becomes what we call total unity. So that is the state which Lord Krishna says is very good state. So when we go to a temple, for example, or we pray anywhere, or we sit down in our own house and meditate on the Almighty, at that time we should become eki bhav. We should reveal everything to Him. There's nothing to hide. We know that we do not reveal everything to our colleagues and friends and family members, but that time become one with the Almighty. Analyze your weaknesses, analyze the bad things which we might have done in our life. That will actually open up a very positive thinking in our mind. So that eki bhav is possible when you sit quietly and reveal everything to the God, and take suggestions from him how I improve upon this particular weakness. For example, somebody gets into drinking habit. Now he says, how do I get out of it? Smoking habit, how do I get out of it? Somebody tells lie, how do I avoid telling lies? Somebody gets angry, how do I get out of anger? Now, if you reveal all those weaknesses to the Almighty, that will be eki bhav. And then he will give you suggestions automatically. Do this, do this. And that is the way to improve oneself. That is the fundamental, what you call, gradual path towards improvement. And once we start that path, then the Lord says that He would love those people and those people would love me. They would love me means because they are not hiding anything from me. They're telling me the truth that yes, I became angry today. Yes, I told this lie at that point. Why should I, why did I did it and how can I avoid it? That is the way which is been reflected in this verse. That how you become yukt, nitya yukt, and how you become eki bhav. Then verse number 18. Now he is referring to verse number 16 here. And then he is saying, ये सभी उदार हैं, परंतु ज्ञानी तो साक्षात मेरा स्वरूप ही है, ऐसा मेरा मत है, क्योंकि वह मदगत मन, बुद्धि वाला ज्ञानी भक्त, अति उत्तम गति स्वरूप मुझ में अच्छी प्रकार से स्थित है. Now, he has said all the four variety of people are udar. Now, why should he say that? He is saying that because even if you are praying to the Almighty for certain selfish reasons, even then at least you are thinking about Him. That is the first thing, that you are thinking about the Almighty. Then you believe in Him, that automatically comes out. Once you are thinking about Him, you believe in Him. And you also think that He is the last resort for help. Or you can say He is the best resort for help in certain ways. That is why you have gone there, to seek His help. So we can begin our journey of Eki Bhav and Nitya Yukt from these roots also. Starting from selfish motive, starting from arth, that is, you are avoiding disaster, starting from jigyasu, it's also possible to begin that journey from there. That is why he has used the word udara. Matlab, even those people are good people because they have at least started their journey towards the Almighty. Because a lot of people don't even do that. So in that context, he is calling them Udar, that you start your journey even from these routes. Slowly, slowly, you will go to the final route of Gyani. परंतु ज्ञानी तो मेरा साक्षात स्वरूप ही है. The word here is अवैते ज्ञानी तत्वामेव ते मतम. मैं मतम. That ज्ञानी तो totally मैं ही हूं. It is like tat. Tattvamasi, as we say. Similarly, it is what he is saying here, that a jnani, a person, let me explain this word jnani once again. Ge. Ge is the Sanskrit root for jnani. Ge. Ge means something which has gone down in your body mind complex and has become one with you. That is called ge. Like, for example, you taste sugar. Somebody will explain you the taste of the sugar. He can explain you for 1 hour and you will not understand it. But if you take a few, 1 spoon of sugar in your hand and put it on your tongue, you will immediately understand what the taste is like. So that is called gay. Now that taste has become gay. It has gone percolated down into your complex, and you understand it fully. So jnani means the knowledge which has gone down inside yourself, which you fully understand, for which there is no doubt outside. That is called jnani. And that jnani, bhakt mera swarup hai, means he is like the Paramatma. He is absolutely like Paramatma. That is what he has said, or he says, he has used the word here, yuktatma. Yuktatma means the soul which is one with the Almighty, the drop which has become the ocean, which has merged into the ocean and has become the ocean. So that is called yuktatma. Yuktatma, actually the culmination of nitya yukt and eki bhav, they lead to yuktatma. Once you start the process of nitya yukt and eki bhav, ultimately you become one with the Almighty, yuktatma. So he is saying that those people, those four types of people who are who are dedicated to me, they are all good people. But the fourth variety, the Jnani, is actually like me. He is Brahman. That is why we call Aham Brahmasmi. Why do we say? That is possible when you become completely one with the Almighty, Yuktatma. And that is possible only when you have the fundamental knowledge of yourself and of this universe around you. That Jnani, then only it is possible. So this is these three verses are giving us a tip that we can start our journey of becoming one with the Almighty from any of the routes. But slowly, slowly, we should go towards Eki Bhav. We should have Nitya Yukt, and then we will become Yuktatma. So this is what he is explaining in these three verses, and this is the journey I think we need to do, all of us, sooner or later. This will also come into in the next verse, why we should do it this journey. So verse number 19, this is another very interesting verse. बहुत जन्मों के अंत में तत्व ज्ञान को प्राप्त पुरुष सब कुछ वासुदेवी है, इस प्रकार मुझको बसता है, वह महात्मा अत्यंत दुर्लभ है. बहुत जन्मों के अंत में. If you recall in chapter 4th, he revealed himself saying that, हे अर्जुन, तुम्हें सब जन्मों का पता नहीं है, मेरे को सब जन्मों का पता है. जो पहले आ चुके लोग और जो आगे आएंगे उसका मेरे को पता है. That person who knows the past and the future and the present is called Kalatit. Kalatit means the time has no limitation on him. For him, the past and the future and the present are equally knows everything about that. So that Kalatit thing is not applicable to Sarvagya, person who knows everything, to the Almighty. But for us, he says, बहुत जन्मों के अंत में, means we have passed through many, many lives. And not only as human being, maybe in so many other species of life. So here it also implies that the human life is the culmination of various uh, species of life, because in the human form the consciousness is the most developed, and that is why we get an opportunity as human being to understand ourselves and to understand the rest of the universe, which is not possible in other forms of life, whether it is animal or bird or a tree. Those possibilities are completely excluded, because those animals and birds and other species of life, they only live for two three reasons. One is to fill their tummy, secondly to have reproduction, and thirdly to sleep. These are the three fundamental requirements of their life: the hunger, sex, and sleep. These are the three fundamental, and they have no other thought process which leads them to higher echelons in consciousness. But human being transcends that, and that is why he says बहुत जन्मों के अंत में. अब बहुत जन्मों के अंत का मतलब in whatever capacity, whatever species we have been in the past, but today we have come in the form of a human being. And after that gradual progression, that person who has acquired Tattva Gyan, who has acquired the fundamental knowledge of the existence, that is the Tattva Gyan, the fundamental knowledge of our existence, if he has acquired that, or person who then it becomes very clear to him that Vasudev Sarvmiti. Vasudev Sarvmiti means everything is Paramatma. It is the same phrase as we say in Isavasya Upanishad, Isavasya Midam Sarvam, that Paramatma ही सब जगह है. और कुछ लोग तो ये कहते हैं कि सिर्फ परमात्मा ही है, परमात्मा सब जगह नहीं, सब सिर्फ परमात्मा ही है. But whatever phrase we use, basically here Vasudev Sarvmiti, meaning that Paramatma is pervading everywhere. If that knowledge is acquired by us after passing through variety of life and life forms, then we become, then he has the root word Mahatma. That person has become a great soul and he has become one with the Almighty. So this is these four verses, 16, 17, 18, and 19. These are in progression. That you start your journey from one of the four devotees, then how you become Nitya Yukt, how you become Eki Bhav, how you become Yuktatma, and then how you consider that everything is nothing but the Almighty, and then you become one with Him. So he's saying that a person who has done this journey after various births, he is very rare. That kind of person is extremely rare, and he has called him Mahatma. He has called him one with the Almighty. He has called him वो मेरा साक्षात स्वरूप ही है. That's what he has said. Then verse number 20. उन भोगों की कामना द्वारा जिनका ज्ञान हरा जा चुका है, वे लोग अपने स्वभाव से प्रेरित होके उस नियम को धारण करके अन्य देवताओं को भजते हैं और पूजते हैं. Now he is coming back to the first three variety of bhakts here, that there are certain people who do the dedication or do the worship of the Almighty for certain reasons. So reasons is they have certain desires, kamna ke dwara. They have certain desires to fulfill. And because of those desires, they are worshipping the god. He has used the word here that these people don't have enough knowledge. The knowledge can come slowly, slowly, but at that particular moment, they don't have enough knowledge. And that is why some of these people pray to the Devtas. Now, the word Devta here, actually, we should understand this word Devta. Devta is a category of powers which have been designated in this universe. These forces have been designated. For example, fire. Fire has given a force to light certain things, to provide light, and also to cleanse everything. Whatever you put in the fire, it is cleansed. Even if you put, for example, dirty gold, it will become pure gold. So the cleansing capacity and the capacity to provide light and heat, these are intrinsic property of fire. So that is fire is a devta which has these capacities. We have certain other devtas which human beings have invented because of their own thought process. Like we think that Lakshmi will give us wealth, so we have invented Lakshmi and we do the worship of Lakshmi. We do the worship of, for example, uh, sun or the moon or certain other sunny various gods and powers. So these are the forces of power which play their role in a specific field in this universe. And the people who have desires, they choose one of those forces or more than one of those forces and pray to them for those desires. So that is he is referring to. जैसे कई लोग हनुमान जी की पूजा करते हैं, कई लोग गणेश जी की पूजा करते हैं, कई लोग सरस्वती की पूजा करते हैं, कई लोग देवी की पूजा करते हैं. Now those are the devtas which have been provided certain special powers in this universe, and we are praying to those devtas. That is the reference here. उन लोगों को पूछते हैं. फिर आगे के वर्ष में क्या कहते हैं ये, जो जो सकाम भक्त जिस जिस देवता के स्वरूप को श्रद्धा से पूजना चाहता है, श्रद्धा से पूजना चाहता है, उस भक्त की श्रद्धा को मैं उस देवता के प्रति स्थिर कर देता हूं. नाउ this is very interesting verse, that you may be praying to a particular divinity. Like some people pray to the Hanuman, for example, Hanumanji. Now, he says that if you are praying to the Hanumanji with Shraddha, that is without any doubt, without any second thoughts, with total devotion, then I stabilize your devotion in that particular divinity. That is what he's saying. And that is why we find people who are, devotees to certain specific divinities. You will find variety of people who are dedicated to one particular devta. That is possible because the Almighty, the Supreme, the Brahma, Bhagwan, he is stabilizing our devotion to that particular divinity, and then that divinity helps you in fulfilling your desires. That is possible. That is why people go to those divinities. If they worship those divinities with full dedication, with full devotion, then your desires will also be stabilized. Your devotion will be stabilized and your desires will be fulfilled. That is what he's saying. So that is the root of Sakam Bhakti. That is not the root of Niskam Bhakti. The word here you use, Sakam Bhakt. Yo yo yam yam tanu bhakt. जो भक्ति इन चीजों में करता है. So that is the Sakam Bhakti. That gives you the worldly comfort, the worldly pleasure or leisure which you are seeking from that divinity. you acquire that. Like some people want to become good businessmen and they pray to a particular divinity, then the Almighty will stabilize his devotion into that divinity, and then that divinity in return will fulfill his desires. But those are all sakam bhakt. They are not, uh, you know, on the path of nirvana. They are only seeking the worldly objects for their comforts, which are not everlasting. The worldly comforts are kshanik, they last for a while and then they convert back into what we call distress. So, this is what he's saying, that he does that. So, he's accepting the reality of life, he's telling us the reality of life, and we know that despite knowing fully well that they are only asking for the worldly comforts, I think they are happy with that. They a lot of people do that. In fact, 99% people do that in practical terms. And that is what he's explaining here, how it happens. Then verse number 22. वह पुरुष उस श्रद्धा से युक्त होकर उस देवता का पूजन करता है और उस देवता से मेरे द्वारा निधान किए गए उन इच्छित भोगों को निसंदेह प्राप्त करता है. So he is confirming here again that if you are doing prayer of a particular divinity, Shraddha. Now the word Shraddha is very important here. He has used this word many times here. Satya Shraddhaya, it is here. In the earlier verse also, Shraddhaya has been used. So we should understand Shraddha. Shraddha is not Viswas. Shraddha is not belief. If you believe in something, it basically means that you had certain doubts before and therefore you started believing it now. The word Viswas, I let me use the Hindi word, that's much better. The Viswas is an indication that आपका उस चीज में कहीं ना कहीं डाउट है, आपका संदेह है, इसलिए आप कह रहे हैं कि मेरा विश्वास है इसमें. पहले विश्वास नहीं था, पहले अविश्वास था, पहले संदेह था. तो विश्वास इज लिंक्ड विद डाउट और ए हिस्ट्री ऑफ डाउट. श्रद्धा इज ए वर्ड इन विच यू हैव नो डाउट. You accept as it is. You accept given. That is called Shraddha. Shraddha means you for example, you cannot say मेरा sun में, मेरा सूर्य में श्रद्धा है. Now, you see the sun all the time. There's no question of Shraddha. You see it and that's it. आप ये कहेंगे सन में मेरा विश्वास है, ये कैसे कहेंगे आप? The Shraddha comes when the divinity is unknown. The question of Shraddha applies when the divinity or the power is unknown. It is what we call non-manifest. Because if it is manifest, then there is no need of Shraddha and Viswas. You see it and you accept it as it is. But Viswas and Shraddha both comes in this context only when the divinity is not manifest, not known, not understood by our five senses of perception. And then we have two words, Viswas. Viswas comes because of the doubt. And Shraddha. Shraddha comes when you do not doubt and you accept as given. That's it. That is Shraddha. So Shraddha is completely away from Viswas in that sense because there's no shred of doubt anywhere in Shraddha. So he says that only those people who worship the divinity with total Shraddha, without any doubt, without any, shred of suspicion anywhere, then they will, of course, they are Sakam Bhakt. They are praying for a particular region. So those people will be given the desired result by the divinity, but it would be given by me through the divinity. The divinity will give the result, but it will be given ultimately by me. So he is also telling here that all the divinities which we worship, the Almighty is the supreme of all divinities. In fact, there is a very nice story in Upanishads where they talk about Yaksh. There was a flash in the sky which appeared and which warned Indra and went away. And Indra did not understand what it was. So he sent Agni. Agni couldn't understand because as soon as Agni says, I will burn you, the Agni applied all its power, but it could not be burnt. So the power of Agni was taken away by Yaksh. Then he sent Vayu. Vayu said, I'll blow you away. But as soon as the Vayu tried to blow it away, it did not work. The power of Vayu disappeared. So Yaksh, took that power away. And when this news went to the Indra, Indra realized that this is the Supreme Lord. So that Supreme Lord is the Lord of all these divinities. This is the message also hidden in this verse. That whatever results those other divinities are providing you, that has become possible because of my involvement and my support, that divinity is able to give you the result. So, from these verses, I would like to, emphasize the following. One can start the journey of becoming one with the Lord by Sakam route, by Niskam route. Niskam route is possible only when you have acquired knowledge, that is Gyan. Only Jnani Bhakt can do that. People who don't have knowledge, full knowledge, they will start their journey from Sakam route. And they can start their journey even through the divinity. The divinity will also give them what they are desiring. That is also possible. But even that route is ultimately can lead you to the Supreme, because sooner or later, if you continue to pursue that route, you will realize the futility of acquiring material wealth, material prestige, or whatever things you want to acquire in this world. And then ultimately you will have the knowledge that these things are not going to serve you the purpose of eternal peace, the purpose of what you call eternal liberation. Therefore, it can lead you to the path of knowledge, and then you will pursue Niskam Bhakti, Niskam route, to become one with the Almighty, to become, what you call Yukta Chit, or Yukt, completely Yukt with Him. So these are the messages given here. You remember in the earlier part of this chapter, Lord Krishna has said that सूत्र में सूत्र के मनियों की तरह पूरा संसार मेरे में गुथा हुआ है. सूत्र में सूत्र की मनियों की तरह से, that the entire universe is completely integrated into me, like सूत्र में सूत्रियों की मनियां होती. Just to explain it, it's very, sometimes it looks contradictory, but it is not so. Like we can say, take the example of Akash. Now everything exists in Akash. Whatever we can imagine, whether the moon or the sun or the earth or our house or me, everything exists in Akash. At the same time, Akash is in everything. The earth also has Akash. I also have Akash. Without Akash, I cannot exist. Without Akash, sun and moon cannot exist. They also need that space to exist. So सब चीजें आकाश में है और आकाश सब में है. एग्जैक्टली द सेम वे सब चीजें परमात्मा में है और परमात्मा सब में है. That is the foundation of knowledge. The real foundation of knowledge, when we start understanding that everything is in the Almighty and Almighty is in everything, then we reach this state of what we call Yuktatma. So that Yukta Atma is possible there. So these are various, verses which highlight that particular aspect of our journey, how we start our journey and how we reach the culmination of that journey. So we'll take one more verse today. परंतु उन अल्प बुद्धि वालों का वह फल नाशवान है और वे देवताओं को पूजने वाले देवताओं को प्राप्त होते हैं. मेरे भक्त चाहे जैसे भी हों वो अंत में मुझको प्राप्त होते हैं. Now this is final verdict he has given on that okay, it's fine, you can worship the divinities, you can worship them for a desire, for fulfilling your desires, but that is, he has said, real alp buddhi. Alp buddhi means narrow thinking. Then you are only asking for a small little thing. For example, somebody says, okay, मेरे को लखपति बनना है. So he's only asking for a lakh of rupees. That's it. You should ask for, your vision should be much wider, that I want to become, Brahman. Now that vision is missing. So that is alp buddhi. Or somebody says, I want to become, a minister in the cabinet. Now that's a very small requirement. That's called alp buddhi. Because this particular position, first of all, is not something great. Secondly, it is not everlasting. Thirdly, once you are out of that position, you would have no respect. You will degrade. In fact, people won't even look at you. So you will have that pinch, oh, they were looking at me with respect earlier, and now they don't even care for me. So that is why he has used this word alp buddhi here. Alp buddhi, because our thinking is narrow. Our thinking is narrow to those small little rewards which we are seeking in this world. We are not enlarging our thinking to become, what you call giver to everybody. Because the Almighty is the giver to everybody. He is Data. He gives everything to everybody. So why not we acquire that position that we give everything to everybody? So that is why he has used alpa buddhi. So those people who are worshipping the divinities for a particular region, उनके लिए कह रहे हैं कि इनका ये फल नाशवान है. ये फल they will acquire, but it is नाशवान. It will be destroyed after a little while. It will not exist for long. और जो those people who are worshipping me, who are worshipping the Supreme, they ultimately become supreme. Those people who are worshipping Supreme, they become supreme. So this is what he's saying, that why don't you become supreme? Why don't you have that vision of higher vision? Leave this small little vision of asking only for this thing and that thing, and leave those divinities aside. Come to me and become one with me, so that you become supreme. So this is what he's saying. So we have to enlarge our vision. That is why those people who have what we call spiritual outlook, why do we say that for them the whole world is one? Because their vision has become large. They encompass the entire world. Whole universe is it's part of me. That's what he thinks. While we think, oh, only my family is part of me, only my neighborhood is part of me, only my office is, I'm concerned only with my office. So we are narrowing down. We make it small and small and small. So this is what he is trying to explain, that we should have a larger vision, and the largest vision is the vision to become the Almighty. There can be no vision greater than that, because then you are controlling everything in this universe. So that is what is saying, that those who want to have larger vision, they will become one with me and they will become part of me. And those people, he has called them buddhivan. Those are the people who have higher intellect, and their intellect is fully endowed with complete knowledge, and that is why they have that kind of vision. Now, to how do we enlarge our vision? How do we break that cycle of narrow? You see, what there's a fundamental law in spirituality, that when you are in this body mind complex, when your consciousness is confined to that complex, it limits that consciousness. The body mind structure limits the consciousness. जीव बन जाता है. That is why they call it, the word has been used, जीव. जितना आपके साथ एसोसिएशन है उस कॉन्शियसनेस का, दैट जीव इज जीवित, दैट इज अलाइव. बट बियॉन्ड दैट बिकम्स अनदर. इट्स नॉट वन विद यू, इट्स द सेकंड or third, whatever, fourth, fifth, whatever. It's not you. You is only that part which is associated with your consciousness. So that distinction of duality comes because of this association. So this association, on the one hand, brings life to this body, but it also creates the duality, me and you. That is the one reason. Secondly, it limits our consciousness to a very small circle. But once you get out of this body mind complex, then you become part of the larger complex. And that is why people say we should not come back into this body mind complex. That is why वो कहते हैं ना कि आप जन्म मृत्यु के जो चक्र है उससे बाहर निकल जाओ. जन्म मृत्यु का चक्र क्या है? Coming back into this body mind complex and again have dualities, that it is me and it is you. That start of duality is from this complex. So once you are not in that complex, you are out of that complex, you are one with the universal consciousness, then this duality comes to an end. That narrowness also comes to an end. You become then part of the supreme, you become part of the universal consciousness. So that is the reason why this word alpa buddhi. Alpa buddhi, we all will have alpa buddhi so long as we are associated with this body mind complex. But there are people, particularly those who attain samadhi, they remain in this body mind complex, but they have become independent. The body mind complex does not impact them anymore. The existence of this complex is, does not impact their consciousness. They are one with the universal consciousness, still remaining in this complex. So that is a very special status, and that is called samadhi. In that state, the body mind complex becomes irrelevant. But that state is very difficult. The other is that after death, you don't come back into this body mind complex at all. You are transcending this cycle of birth and death. Birth and death means not only as human being, but in any form. Whenever you acquire a body, whatever the body may be, you will have limitation on consciousness. The highest consciousness is possible only in human body, but that also has limitations. And to transcend that limitation, that is what Krishna is saying, that we should remove this, narrow thinking. And we should try to become yuktatma. We should try to become one with the Almighty. We acquire the knowledge, we become jnani, and then we dedicate to the Vasudev, to Almighty. That is the word he has used, Vasudev Sarvamiti. It's basically the Isa Vasyamidam Sarvam, exactly the same meaning. So this is what he is saying here. Starting from in this chapter, he says the knowledge which I am going to give you is fundamental knowledge. one of the, you know, what you call the most secret knowledge of the world. And that is how he is proceeding in this chapter. First, he told the constitution of this universe, 8 elements, that is Prithvi, Jal, uh, Agni, Vayu, and Akash, Man, Buddhi, and Ahankar. These are 8 mm, elements of Aparashakti. And then the Jeev, Parashakti, that is the life force, that is the element. Then he explained in how he is reflected in various forms, like in the sun or in the moon or in life and in Purus and in Buddhi, and he has given those examples. And now he is explaining how we can reach that path, how we can follow that path, and how we can become Yuktatma. So this portion up to verse number 23 is, I think I would request all of you, let us read it, meditate it a little bit more, starting from verse number 1 to 23. And we can meditate on these verses again and again. And then we will finish this chapter in our next session. But this is a chapter, if we can imbibe it fully, I think we can enlarge our vision tremendously, and we can try to become one with the Almighty. Thank you so much.